150 registered, so I'm sure that people will be joining in the meantime. I would like to welcome you on this webinar entitled Investing and Doing Business in Ukraine, with the main objective to prove that despite the war and the Russian aggression on Ukraine, this proud country can offer interesting business opportunities for us and also for our clients. Today, you will have the chance to listen to a very interesting presentation, but also to take part in a lively discussion regarding our possible cooperation with Ukraine and the Ukrainian EEN Consortium and Ukrainian SMEs. Due to that fact that we have many interventions and not so much time because we planned the event for 2.5 hours, and we will try to finish by 12:31 p.m. the latest, I will try to be quite strict on time and remind the speakers to keep to the time assigned. So please excuse me if I will be quite, not harsh maybe, but quite strict on that. And since all of us have the option to switch off and switch on the microphones, not only speakers, but also the audience, please keep them switched off during the presentations and switch them on only if you want to intervene. So ask the question or say something. And of course, it will be very nice for us and for the speakers, myself, if you could switch on your cameras, because it's much nicer to see the faces while you speak than to see the black boxes with the name. And just one final information, the event is live broadcasted, so you don't need to take part via the link to ask the question. You can also send the questions via chat, and we will be able to answer them. And with this, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Jakub Boratyński from DG GROW and Mrs. Natalia Paramo from the EISMEA to open our webinar for you. Thank you very much. And have a
good morning to everyone. Thanks a lot, Agnieszka, for giving me the floor. I mean, it's a great pleasure to actually welcome the members of two communities, two important communities, EEN and clusters, you know, who came together for Ukraine. I think it's also an important occasion to thank our Ukrainian partners and friends from both networks for their relentless work. And I must say, the timing is indeed quite spectacular. You know, today we have a historic day when the President of the European Commission and a big number of commissioners actually arrive in Kyiv for consultations with Ukrainian government. And tomorrow actually we'll have a EU-Ukraine summit in Kyiv. So, I mean, all of this is indeed no doubt historic. You know, we are in the 12th month of the war. But I think what is really remarkable and what actually has, in a way, surprised, I would say, the whole world, it is the resilience of Ukrainian society, actually to do business. You know, that is one of those expressions of resilience in spite of the war conditions, and we see that basically Ukraine holds. Also, if you look into, you know, the fact that basically there is a functioning country, functioning society, functioning economy. This webinar is a result of the work of the EEN Ukraine Task Force that was launched shortly after the start of the war last March. Its members have been very active in establishing, you know, dedicated platforms and organizing matchmaking events that proved to be very effective. I do recall, you know, this degree of understanding and responsibility that resulted us joining forces very fast. And also in that context, I would like to encourage all EEN partners to join our regular task force meeting on Ukraine, which is planned for 14th of February. Now, clusters. The Ukraine Cluster Alliance could be in itself, you know, an example of this amazing resilience. The Ukrainian Cluster Alliance was established actually during the war in March with its 35 members that work now closely with their EU partners in various ecosystems. We had a number of cluster talks dedicated to Ukraine, and within the project of Clusters Meet Regions that basically is happening in different countries of the European Union, where we want to bring awareness of clusters and cluster policy to the regional authorities. We often also have matchmaking events, and it is within that context that we will have a very important event in a way which is which best we cannot have it in Ukraine. It will be hosted by our Slovak partners in Košice on 29th and 30th of March. And we all warmly invite you. Martin will later on will tell you more details about this event. I think it is very important that indeed, in spite of the war that is obviously on everyone's mind, we are actually gearing toward, on the one hand, making sure that the Ukrainian economy can actually function well, but also that we do everything possible for making indeed Ukraine ready for the EU. If we look at the at the EU support, the EU has mobilized over 19 billion of support, in addition to the military support that is also sizable, and it's also that's a historical breakthrough. EU has not been dealing, of course, with military support in the past. Our support has two main strands. First, it is assisting Ukraine in, let's say, short-term perspective to maintain provision of vital basic services. Secondly, it's about humanitarian relief. And finally, it is about rehabilitation of critical infrastructure and ensuring that businesses can continue its functioning. In that context, we have been also working with many of you on how we can, for example, support Ukraine with generators. And it was just announced by the Commission the 3 billion of financial support in addition to this package that has been announced before. Now, in that context, I think, and in the context of the visit of the College of the Commissioners to Kiev today, we literally a few days ago, I think it was during the weekend, the President von der Leyen said, we are in it for as long as it takes. That were very strong words of basically commitment of the EU that is there and is going to stay. Now, we also have a huge now the Ukrainian diaspora in Europe, which of course is much bigger as a result of the war, and we are also reflecting how in different actions we can actually tap in the potential of this community, not just basically consider them as people who need help, but also as potential entrepreneurs and representatives of companies that would contribute to the reconstruction of Ukraine. So EU perspective, that was the decision of the summit of the European Council last June, that took a historic decision to recognize Ukraine as a candidate country to the EU. And I think that actually created a context in which many of those of our day-to-day work is being now organized. And a good example of this is inclusion of representatives of Ukrainian government in various networks that are essential for the functioning of the single market. Because again, what we are looking forward to is basically for the Ukraine to join the EU and be in this preparatory phase to be as much as possible included in various single market policy. And I think the mindset for us here in Brussels and in many Ukrainian capitals is not just about the short term, it's helping Ukraine to survive, but it is very much about recovery and reconstruction. There is a major international effort going on, which is related to the assessment of huge needs. This estimates of the damage are really staggering. We are talking about hundreds of millions of hundreds of billions of euros in the damage. But indeed, I think there is an important mobilization, and let's say our activity is actually in a way contributing to this, that we will have basically a Ukrainian economy, Ukrainian companies, to the extent possible, integrated with their partners, with their partners in the EU. So I think this is the context for this event today, which is very much forward-looking. And again, my great thanks to all the colleagues who have been involved in this effort. And let me also mention this, that we also are watching with a lot of interest, the clear efforts of the Ukrainian leadership to fight corruption, to strengthen rule of law, which again, from also my personal experience, are absolutely essential, for making this big project successful. Both integration of Ukraine with the EU, but also, having a functioning market economy that is fair and open to everyone. Well, with this, I pass the floor to Natalia. Have a great event today. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you, Kuba. Thank you. So, as Kuba said, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar, Investing and Doing Business in Ukraine. As you know, it's organized by the Enterprise Europe Network. For those who doesn't know me, I'm the head of unit of the Single Market Program SME Pillar at the executive agency AISMEA. And it's really a pleasure to be among you and an honor also to open this webinar and to provide you with an outline of what we can expect today. But as Kuba also mentioned, I would like to welcome in particular the staff member of our Ukrainian Enterprise Europe Network partners. And really, I sincerely hope that you and your families are safe in these difficult times for your countries. And also is a key day today, because as Kuba mentioned, today the Commission is in Kiev and we are organizing this seminar. So what we would like to with this seminar today is very easy, to send a very clear message that our European network advisor and cluster managers, the message is to all of you: Ukraine remains open for business and foreign investment, despite the security challenges the country is facing. So this is the key message we would like to pass. So I strongly encourage our Enterprise Europe Network advisor, but also the cluster managers attending this webinar, please, to promote Ukraine as a business destination to your clients across the EU. Ukrainian companies continue their commercial activities despite the attacks on the national infrastructure. These companies are looking outward to find European business partners. So I would like to reiterate that Ukraine not only remains a large market to trade goods or services, the country also boasts several competitive sectors open for young research and development with European companies. So the European Commission, as you know, is supporting such research and innovation cooperation via their flagship programs, Horizon Europe, as well as the Single Market Program, which Ukraine is expected to join shortly. What about EN Ukraine? So we have been in regular contact with our colleagues in the EN Ukraine Consortium, as you know. And in October 22, just a few days before the annual conference in Prague, we are happy because we signed the grant agreement with a highly motivated team working for EN Ukraine. So the Ukrainian Enterprise Europe Network partners are at your service and ready to provide your clients all the help and advice they need to do business in Ukraine. So I'm more than confident that with their help, it will be possible for European companies get in touch with suitable Ukrainian business partners. And also our Ukrainian Enterprise Europe Network partners have been contributing continuously to help Ukraine to resist the Russian aggression and to support Ukrainian businesses under this challenging condition. So, as usual in business, personal contacts, we know that are key to ensure your clients can reach out to potential business partners. And in Ukraine, this is not different. So for this reason, today, the 7 Ukrainian Enterprise Europe Network partners are going to present themselves what kind of support or services they can offer to your clients. So if you want to reach out our Ukrainian partners, let me remind you that their contact details, including email addresses and phone numbers, are accessible via the staff directorate or the network's community platform. I would like also on this occasion to praise the work, as already Kuba mentioned, of the Task Force on Ukraine. The European Commission and Enterprise Europe Network launched this task force on Ukraine almost at the start of the military conflict with a dual purpose. On one hand, to coordinate efforts to help business facing supply chain disruptions, and of course, on the other, to help our colleagues from EN Ukraine. And this EN task force is composed of European and Ukrainian network partners. And The task force has been meeting regularly to gain insight about the situation and to discuss new ideas on how to support our Ukrainian citizen and business. But let's go to the point, because we have, as Agnieszka said, very tight agenda and important information to share with you. So we are going to start our webinar with a presentation by Yanis Aisalniks on the overall European legislative framework for supporting Ukraine, of course, including the associated agreement, as well as the deep and comprehensive free trade area, DCFTA. Then Martin Dies from DG GROW will provide an overview of the Single Market Program as its tools to facilitate business cooperation between EU and Ukrainian business. Then Yeven Angel from the Institute for Economic Research and Policy Consulting will offer an overview of current business situation in Ukraine and the economic challenges the country is facing. Also, we have the honor to learn from Judith Mosvitin, First Secretary of the Mission of Ukraine to the European Union of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, to learn the current initiatives to facilitate cooperation with EU countries. In addition, we will welcome representative of Ukraine Invest, Sergei Zvivak, excuse me for the pronunciation of the names, an export credit agency, Oksana Ocheratiana, to present the recovery plan for Ukraine and available national export crediting and risk insurance schemas. And today's webinar will conclude with an open discussion moderated by our colleague Agnieszka and by Philippe Mergen of the thematic group Internationalization on how we communicate with clients on Ukraine as potential business destination and specific needs of European companies for doing business in Ukraine. So for conclude, let me assure that all we agree that we have to work all together, and we have to support our partners in Ukraine in these difficult times. In the past month, the EN, the Enterprise Europe Network, has shown its great potential to help once again and continue showing solidarity with Ukraine. An Ukrainian citizen, an entrepreneur, they have demonstrated extraordinary resilience following the Russian invasion. Retaining jobs and a functioning economy is key to the future of the Ukrainian people. So it is now, please, our turn to demonstrate that we stand with Ukraine. And I like to quote Henry Ford when he said, "When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane take off against the wind, not with it." So let be that win for all Ukrainian businesses. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very interesting meeting.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, Natalia. Thank you very much, Kuba. Just one issue. I will try to be nice, and if the time is consumed too much by the speaker, I will try to send a direct message on chat. So please look at chat from time to time if you are speaking too long. Now, as already Natalia introduced, I would like to invite Mr. Yanis Aisalniks from Support Group Ukraine, and afterwards Martin Dies from DG GROW to start with their presentations. Please go on.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, for your introduction, and thank you for this really great framing of our current situation in our relationship with the various aspects of business and economy. My name is Yanis Aisalniks. I'm representing DG NEAR, directorate that is working in close cooperation with our neighborhood partner countries and enlargement countries. Within the DG NEAR, I'm working in the support group to Ukraine, which actually since yesterday has been reformed into a directorate. So even enlarging and stepping up our support to our work in Ukraine. Now we will continue working as a Directorate E, consisting of 3 units and a Secretariat for Reconstruction, which in part is going to be located with the Commission. Today is a really important day for Ukraine EU relations, because as you know, today is taking place a meeting between European Commission, a college of the European Commission, and the Ukrainian government. And tomorrow there's going to be EU-Ukraine summit. From my perspective, and I just maybe also needed to add that I'm working in the team that is looking after economic issues, support of private sector development, and economy at large in Ukraine. So from my perspective, there are a lot of economic deliverables on a table in these high-level meetings today and tomorrow. You will hear later on. I think it is very important news that an agreement for Ukraine to join single market program is going to be signed. Then there will be also new developments and other deliverables, such as priority action plan on integration of Ukraine in a single market, which is also going to be signed in Kiev in these upcoming days. And there are also other deliverables, such as during the remaining months of the year, there will be established a Horizon Europe program office in Ukraine that's going to integrate and support integration of Ukrainian researchers and research institutions into the European research area, and will provide new opportunities for Ukrainian scientists. But in the DG NEAR, we are in charge of coordinating resources and expertise within the Commission with the EU member states. We work very closely with the EU delegation in Kiev and Ukrainian authorities and many other relevant stakeholders, including private sector, local authorities, and non-governmental organizations. Our main objective is to set up and support Ukraine in carrying out various reforms, such as decentralization reforms, public finance management reforms, energy sector, economy sector, and many other reforms, as well as to ensure including and working together with civil society organizations. Obviously, as it was already mentioned, since the beginning of the Russia's war against Ukraine, the EU, together with member states, have stepped up support to Ukraine and repurposed and refocused our support efforts, focusing on those issues that are immediately needed. And I'm going to tell you more in detail about the programs now, what our programs at the moment are doing to support Ukrainian business environment at the moment. But I wanted to start by walking quickly through the legislative framework, because this is really an important indication that we have had a very deep and significant cooperation with Ukraine already since many years. And the first point that I wanted to mention is the association agreement and deep and comprehensive free trade area. These are two agreements that were signed simultaneously that are coming together, and they have been applied already since 2016. And DCFTA is a part of a broader association agreement whose political and cooperation provisions have been already applied since 2014. The DCFTA opens market for goods and services on both sides based on predictable and enforceable trade rules. So what are the benefits for the businesses from these agreements? In reality, these agreements make it easier and more affordable for EU businesses to import from and export to Ukraine. It introduces various benefits for businesses, such as the elimination of tariffs, as well as efficient and speedy facilitation of traffic through customs and international borders. This DCFTA agreement involves gradual removal of customs tariffs and quotas, which, in line with the broader process of aligning Ukraine laws with the EU law standards and practices, so-called EU acquis, will contribute to further economic integration with the EU single market. Inside the DCFTA, there are practically all the key areas covered, but there is a specific block on economy. And this economic block considers issues such as energy, macroeconomic cooperation, management of public finances, taxation, environment, industrial and enterprise policy, cooperation on employment, social policy, equal opportunities, civil society, and cross-border and regional cooperation. As you see, this agreement is very comprehensive. If you ever have a time, have a look. It is very, very comprehensive and detailed, and it also means that there has been a lot of work to proceed to alignment of our legislation, which has been already ongoing since a number of years. I'm going to continue a little bit talking about one specific part of this agreement, which or points which or possibility that is envisaged by DCFTA, and that is a possibility to conclude agreement on conformity assessment and acceptance, so-called ACAA agreement. And such an agreement would provide trade between Ukraine and the European Union on the same terms as we are having trade today, let's say, between Germany and France. So on the same terms as inside EU trade. But of course, in order to arrive to conclusion of such an agreement, and I wanted to say that we are at the moment proceeding in the necessary steps to arrive to such agreement. Of course, we need our partner country to adopt all the relevant legislation for that particular sector, norms and standards, and also the way how these norms and standards are enforced and monitored. So all these laws, norms, and standards, as well as administrative practices, should be in place in order to allow trade between EU and Ukraine on those goods on the same terms as we are having this trade inside European Union. At the moment, we are working on 3 groups of goods to be included in such agreement, and they're going to cover machinery, electromagnetic goods, and low voltage equipment. We are right in the middle of this process. We have done half of the necessary work, and several assessment missions are required. Ukrainians on their side are also proceeding with adoption of the necessary legislation. So even though it takes some time, I'm reasonably optimistic that we are going to arrive to conclusion of such free trade arrangement or agreement, ACAA agreement, on these goods in I mean, hopefully during this year. Let's see if the conditions are good for that to Ukraine. On the accession status, obviously we are very happy and proud that on 23rd of June, European Council took the historic decision to recognize the European perspective and grant the status of candidate country to Ukraine. This is a clear message that the future of Ukraine and its citizens lies within the European Union. This decision is also a recognition of all the work and progress that has been done so far. And Ukraine is in a way reaping those benefits. It's important to build on these results and to continue working. And of course, one of the main directions of the work right now is to work as quickly as possible to integrate Ukraine into the EU internal market. And for that purpose, this DCFTA agreement is a perfect legal base. We need to do a lot of practical steps to make sure that we are benefiting from this agreement to maximum possible. But of course, in addition to that, we are going to probably see a process of reforms in Ukraine. We're going to see a process of assessment of chapters of the legislation of EU acquis, to what extent Ukraine is already complying with or has been aligning with the EU legislation. The first detailed assessment is going to be published, I think tomorrow, because we are having, as I mentioned, a summit, and so far, European Commission has been working on this detailed assessment of all the legislative chapters. And the assessment is ready. I cannot reveal in details the assessments, but but I hear that it is rather positive, and Ukraine can be proud on how quickly it has advanced already on many of the sectors. But it's also true that there will be a lot of work to be done further to integrate the entire legislation of the European Union into legislation of Ukraine, to beef up and to build the administrative capacity, as well to comply and implement this legislation, which is also an extremely important aspect. I think I will proceed to the next slide, which is going to talk more about the EU cooperation. As it was mentioned, when the war started, we mobilized over 19 billion in a direct assistance to Ukraine, and we repurposed the programs so that they would match the current situation and would provide immediate support, urgent support, such as creation of new income for internally displaced persons and relocated enterprises, supporting micro, small, and medium businesses more affected by the war. For example, if they needed to move from areas where they have suffered from damage. So these EU programs have been focused on strengthening SME resilience in the current situation, ensuring their business continuity, providing access to finance, helping companies to retain staff, assisting them to provide basic goods and services needed by the Ukrainians. So, for example, EU for Business initiative, which is our flagship program for support of economy, business sector. This program has been adjusted to provide consultancy services on business survival and resilience, as well as urgent procurement of equipment and IT hard and software to reinforce local communities hosting internally displaced businesses, and furthermore to provide easier access to funding for SMEs. So this EU for Business program has developed together with the portal Dia Business to attract foreign talent and efficiently administer microgrants to companies. EU has also been closely cooperating with various financial institutions to provide support to SMEs, and here we have been working with these international finance institutions such as European Investment Bank, EBRD, German KfW, in order to ensure that there is subsidized loan funding available through Ukrainian banks to the Ukrainian companies. So essentially, EU for Business is working in the directions for access to finance, supporting Ukrainian companies to access to new markets as well as access to knowledge. Let's move to the next slide. There are some results featured on this display and success stories indicating how companies have benefited and how many SMEs we have supported and how many jobs have been created through this program. Essentially, this is of course very necessary, but we also recognize that that in the current circumstances, this support requires to be also stepped up. And we are already considering and designing new programs that are going to go in these directions, namely providing access to finance, access to markets, and access to consultancy support on all those areas that companies might require in these difficult circumstances. Next slide, please. This is a list of companies or list of banks through which we are working. So if SME, for example, would like to get a loan that on a subsidized terms from these EU programs, they simply have to turn to one of these banks, which are intermediaries in this lending operation. Next slide, please. And yes, well, I also wanted to highlight that, of course, a lot of our work is taking place on a legislative and policy level. So we are, of course, have been working with the Ukrainian Ministry of Economy, Central Bank, Ministry of Finance, and other ministries on those legislation and policies which are affecting business environment. For example, you might have heard that at the moment Ukraine is conducting a large a campaign or large shift with the canceling and deregulation on the business rules and legislation that at the moment are not fit for the purpose or fit for the circumstances. We are providing our expert support also through this very new initiative, which has been starting in the past weeks. We are mobilizing experts to help Ukrainian ministries to assess and evaluate and come up with such legislative and policy package that would fit the current situation, that would help SMEs and companies to survive and thrive and be able to get through this difficult period. But at the same time, we are already looking at the future and helping to introduce that kind of solutions in the legislation and policy that would help Ukraine to also advance in approximation of the legislation in the areas of business environment, in the areas of enterprise and industry. That would be the first objective of this particular program, and the second objective is more to continue work on the resilience of Ukrainian businesses and to provide them more export opportunities. I know that we are not the only ones who are working on this. There is Ukrainian Export Promotion Office. We are trying mainly to build capacity of the Ukrainian institutions to set up the right conditions for the companies to be able to export better to the European Union, but also providing them with some grant money in order to find new contacts, new markets, be able to participate in the trade fairs in Europe. This is something that we are going to continue working. So next slide. I think this might be actually end of my presentation. I know that my colleague Martin is going to take over to tell about the single market program, which is going to be signed these days in Kiev, and which is also going to provide new opportunities for Ukrainian businesses, as well as will increase Ukrainian capacity to deliver good statistics to also plan their policies. So I thank you very much for your attention today, and I'm happy to, if possible, to answer any questions later or today. In any case, we are happy to be in touch with businesses from the DG NEAR side to see how we can help Ukraine in this sector in future. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Yanis. So I will straight go to the single market program. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm happy to see that now we've reached the number of 100 participants, and I hope that you managed to on the technical side to make sure that those people who want to join us, because apparently there was a limit of 100 people, has been solved. I'm quite happy to see so many colleagues from EN and clusters, both from Ukraine and from the EU. In fact, the single market program, I think you're all familiar with it. As you know, it's a cornerstone of the single markets is a cornerstone of the EU. And just a few days ago, we have also published two reports that have really stressed the importance of the single market. We will publish this report on the website. You will see that indeed the single market has improved over the last 30 years years has increased the cooperation among member states. I think 60% of trade is happening within member states, and the value added for the economy is really remarkable. However, there are still quite a few challenges that need to be addressed, and that's why we really need to fully take advantage of the different tools that are linked to the single market, for instance, to help for the resilience of supply chains, but also address strategic dependency, ensure that the EU has the relevant technology and skills, especially for staff that will need to contribute to the green and digital transition. So it's really important to have the single market. As I said, it's now the 30th year. We are going to celebrate this anniversary. There will be several events to which we will invite you to take part. Of course, for such an important policy, we also needed an important program. That's why we have set this single market program, and you can see here its different objectives. Of course, to strengthen and increase its visibility, but also to help it play its role for an engine for growth, job and resilience. There is also a component for citizens. There will be a strong part on for consumers. And then we also have a strong element of providing statistics so that we have a better understanding in this time where data is so important. The budget is of 4.2 billion over this period of time. There are 6 pillars to this program, and many of your actions are falling under the SME pillar. And today, as we mentioned, is an important day because President van der Leyen and Prime Minister Šmihal will be signing the accession of Ukraine to the single market program. And out of the 6 pillars, these are those that have been chosen by Ukraine to take part in are this SME pillar and European statistics. So the SME pillar is, of course, extremely important because you know that this is our tool to help to support businesses, in particular small and medium-sized companies, to also facilitate access to market, develop a favorable business environment. And here I'd like to stress that late payment is still a very important issue for companies in Europe. I think you're all aware of that. We also, of course, want to support the development and growth of businesses. We want them to go international. And then we also have a policy really to look sector by sector or connecting these different ecosystems. And that's where clusters are playing a particularly important role. And of course, EN do play an important role on all, I would say, of these different aspects. And that's why we are very happy to have you on board and to have such a large number of participants. So what are the tools that are available to SMEs? Of course, I'm not going to describe the Enterprise Europe Network, which is the largest business network in the world. Neither the clusters, as I said, quite a few are here today. We will later on hear about or hear from our colleagues from EEN Ukraine, because I think they are an excellent example of a consortium that is bringing together a large number of competencies, skills, host organizations, including clusters. I think this is really the recipe for success, to provide the best tools for SMEs who want to grow or go international. But coming back to Ukraine, the other tools that we have set up in order to help SMEs to really get better access on the Ukrainian side to the EU market, but also for EU companies to sell their products to Ukraine. And that was done via the 3 business matchmaking platforms that were set up during the last year. Of course, you all, I suppose, are aware about the supply chain resilience platform. Then we quickly set up the solidarity lanes, and that was to overcome the logistic and transport problems created by the blockage of the Black Sea. ports. So these matchmaking platforms are extremely important and are quite successful today. But of course, in order to really make them more successful, we need your active contribution. We need you to make best use of all the different profiles that are already there on these matchmaking platforms. And I would also thank the EN team in Ukraine that have been organizing a lot of activities around these matchmaking platforms. During the course of the last quarter of 2022, we also called upon you, EN and clusters, to help us in DG, well, in the Commission in general, but in particular DG ECHO, to identify companies who could help in supporting Ukraine in their winterization efforts. So just to recall you, following the heavy attacks on Ukraine and civilian population back in October, starting in October, there was the demand for especially electrical supply was very, very strong. So we have been asking you to contact companies in your countries, in your region, to identify companies that were willing to donate or to sell some products that were very much needed for the Ukrainians. So I would like to thank you here for your efforts. This morning I saw that an email of a company in the Netherlands that is going to give for about 250,000 euros of light sources to be sent to Ukraine very soon. Last but not least, another tool that is available to SMEs that I hope you all know about it. It's Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs. It's an opportunity for would-be entrepreneurs to learn about the possibilities that or what it means to run a business. And very quickly last year we also adapted the conditions so that the refugees who were already based in the EU could better take advantage of this program. And there are still more possibilities, so please alert your companies about that. Okay, now this slide is more about telling you what we have been doing to support you as stakeholders working with Ukraine. So we already mentioned the EN Ukraine Task Force. This, for those of you who want to join, it's restricted to EN members, but I think it's a good opportunity really to keep up to date on policy developments, on the different programs, to hear experience on what's happening in each EU country to support Ukraine, to hear about events that are taking place. And so, and also during the next meeting on the 14th of February, we will be talking about the implementation of sanctions. That is also a very important topic for both, of course, for Ukraine and for our companies. Cluster talks. These talks are open, I would say, to anybody who is interested. They are not, some of them have been focusing exclusively on Ukraine, but others are covering lots of different topics like energy, health, raw materials. So there, if you're interested, we will also put the link in our fact sheet that we will produce following this session. Of course, easier access to international fairs is an important tool for Ukrainian companies that have often lost their markets in Russia and Belarus. So we want to help them access different fairs. And we have been talking with two major organizations, the European Exhibition Industry Alliance and EMECA, and they will examine on a case-by-case the possibility to facilitate the participation of Ukrainian companies to this to the different events that will be organized in Europe in the coming months. I would also like to mention very briefly a work that has started a few weeks ago. So my colleagues in DG GROW are working with the European Investment Fund to set up this pilot facility to counter-guarantee EU Export Credit Agency, so that they can go on cover again for exports of EU companies to Ukraine. We will keep you informed. It's, as I said, it's a pilot, so it's going to take a few weeks and a few months even until it can be really fully implemented. I was telling you about the different events being organized, and Kuba also mentioned this event that will take place in Kozice at the end of March. I know that EAN and clusters are already working hand in hand in order to facilitate or to really make this event a big success. We will have presentations from high-level speakers, but also what is really important is that we will have matchmaking opportunities for companies from Ukraine and the EU, and site visits, and of course many networking opportunities. So it's still time to, I would say, contribute to the program, and definitely register your companies who are interested to do business to take part. So this is my last slide, Agnieszka, don't worry. So what is going to happen next? Of course, our commitment on the side of DG GROW has been very much underlined, and from DG NEAR as well. What we will do right after this session or in the coming day is to launch a survey to assess your past and future activities on Ukraine. We already saw in your registration form that quite a few of you are working with Ukraine, and we would like to know more about what are your plans in the future and how we can help you further in implementing these projects. Following the session, we will also produce a fact sheet that you can share with your client SMEs who want to do business or invest in Ukraine. Of course, it will be, I would say, a product that we will regularly update, because there are many programs in the pipeline. But I believe it's going to be a very useful tool for you to offer good services to your clients. Now, I'd just like to say 2 words about calls that we will be launching under the SMP 2023 work program. There will be one call to help Ukrainian companies to have access to different services in order to help them to export, to have a better understanding of the single market, and also to take part in international fairs. And another call that will specifically focus on Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs in Ukraine. These 2 calls should be published at the end of February. So I really hope that you will take part, because you are definitely, I would say, the target group that really the type of business intermediaries that we want to involve in these actions. And now we want, towards the end of this session today, we want to hear what you will be doing. What are your needs? What are your activities that you're planning to do? And as I said, we hope that you will participate in our call for proposals from DG GROW, also for Horizon. And so thank you very much for listening, and Chakuyo.
Thank you very much, Martin. The idea was to allow for 2-3 questions after a set of 2 presentations, but I think we are well over time. Unless there is really very, very urgent question somebody would like to ask publicly, please do so. Otherwise, please send the questions via chat, and we will try to answer them on the chat, or I will try to distribute it to the presenters, or if not, we will send you the emails with the responses. So now, if there is nobody really urgently raising the hands, I would like to ask Mr. Yerhen Angel from the Institute for Economic Research and Policy Consulting in Ukraine to provide the overview of business situation in Ukraine. And also, please try to stick to time.
Hello. Thank you, Agnieszka, for introducing me. I just need a few seconds to switch on my presentation. So I want to thank you, Ian, for having me here again. It's an honor to be here with you today again and to present results of our survey. At first, I want to provide just the brief information about our research. We, the Institute for Economic Research and Policy Consulting, we are one of the leading economic think tanks in Ukraine with more than 20 years of history. And actually, SME development is one of our major fields of interest. And since last spring, with support of the European Commission and other donors, we have been conducting research in our new monthly enterprises survey. We launched this project to assess the war impact on Ukraine's economy and in particular on the manufacturing sector. As of today, we have already conducted 8 surveys and our survey panel reached more than 500 enterprises. They represent business of all sizes, most regions of Ukraine, and mostly like 95% of them, they represent manufacturing sector. So today I would like to share with you a brief overview of the main economic tendencies and business expectations based on our research. Unfortunately, this is not a surprise, as it was mentioned that the business situation is under impact of Russian missile attacks, Russian missile terror, which started in autumn. But our survey demonstrates, even clearly demonstrates that business is adapting to work in such conditions. And I must agree with previous speakers that our society, our business sector really demonstrates unbelievable resilience. I must say that in September, the business situation was the most positive because Ukrainian business sector was at the highest point of recovery, but only hard attacks in, especially in October and in November, the situation worsened. For example, in November, Ukrainian companies, Ukrainian manufacturing companies, they had to decrease production. But for example, in December, despite new missile attacks, businesses remained resilient to the Russian terrorist attacks, and the situation stabilized. And actually, the results, they are very positive in our opinion, because, for example, the share of enterprises operated almost at full capacity. It remained in December on the same level as in November, in comparison to the pre-war time. But of course, only a few % of enterprises, they continue to operate at full and higher capacity. It is also very positive that in our sample, only 3% of enterprises, they do not operate it in December, almost at the same level as in November. And only 5% of enterprises, they operated at less than 25% of capacity. We must say that also missile attacks impacted recovery of export activities. We can see that the share of enterprises that stopped exporting after February 24 and could not resume exports remained at the same level. It's about 15–17%. But I want to emphasize that this share is very low. This means that most businesses, most Ukrainian exporters, they either continued exports during the war, or they stopped but resumed exports. Of course, the situation is really very challenging, especially regarding logistics, regarding sea blockade. Besides micro businesses, they still face more challenges. For example, almost half of micro enterprises, they have not resumed exporting, but in general, the situation has improved. On this chart, we can, on these charts, we can see again data on production and export, and we can clearly see negative impact of missile attacks in autumn and early winter. So we can see the situation was the worst in November, but in December the trends has improved. For example, the share of enterprises that planned production growth for the next months increased from 17 to 32%. This is very positive. And most enterprises, they want to keep their production volumes in the coming months at the same level. Also, the situation is the same with exports. So in November, most businesses were very pessimistic about the future, but now they are optimistic and they continue to recover export volumes. Also, we can see the same situation with half-year expectations. The situation was the worst in November, but in December, Ukrainian businesses, we believe, they already adapted to power cuts, they adapted to missile attacks, and that's why they improved the assessment about the future. They improved the assessment about current business situation and economic environment. However, power cuts, they remain the main issue today. We can clearly see that in the last 2 months, power cuts, they are top one issue for the top one impediment to doing business in Ukraine. And besides, among top three problems, we can see rising prices and the fact that it is dangerous to work in Ukraine. But these issues, they keep in shadow other issues. For example, such issues like disruption of supply chains, logistical problems, lack of fuel, or even corruption. I want to emphasize that corruption is at the last place. But the impact on this chart, you can see that at the beginning of the war, this impediment, some infrastructure problems like lack of electricity, power cuts, they were at the end of the list of impediments. But in October, after very hard missile attacks, the situation has worsened. So in October, it was like half of respondents who foretold that power cuts, they were an issue for them. And today, like 80% of Ukrainian businesses, they state that this issue is the most important for them. But we also managed to calculate what is an actual impact of power cuts on Ukrainian businesses and Ukrainian companies. And we can see that 86% of Ukrainian enterprises, they had to temporarily suspend operations due to power cuts, and only 14% of enterprises, they did not experience power cuts. But this is very positive that only 6% of enterprises were not operational more than half of their working time because of power cuts. So it seems that most companies, they adapted to the situation. On average, the enterprises lost like 21% of total working time due to power cuts. Of course, there are some differences between sectors in industries. For example, Ukrainian food industry demonstrates the best results. Food industry lost like 18%. Also, the working time. The situation is also good with textile, printing industries. But on the other hand, we can see that such energy consuming industries like metal processing, they demonstrated the worst losses. How we also wanted to understand how Ukrainian enterprises coping with the power cuts, and we can see that most businesses, like 74%, they installed additional sources of power, like generators, batteries. Of course, for many enterprises, it is very hard to install power generators because it is very expensive and time-consuming. but generators help to keep, for example, the financial operations, management activities, if they install generators like only for the offices. Also, for High Chef enterprises changed the work schedule or production processes. And also, we must say that for large and medium enterprises, it was easier to cope with the situation. It was easier for them to, for example, to install generators. So this was my last slide. I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank the European Union for supporting our research. We believe this should also facilitate recovery of the Ukraine's business sector, and I will be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Yevhen. I think after next presentation, we'll give some time for questions if there are any. Now I would like to ask Mr. Yuri Moskvitin, representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, to provide us with more details regarding the possibilities of safe cooperation between Ukraine and the European Union.
Yes,
Yuri, the floor is yours.
good day, colleagues. Nice to see you all. Yeah, I'm Yuri from the mission of Ukraine to the EU, responsible for economic and trade cooperation. Many important steps, many important tools have already been mentioned by my colleagues from DG GROW. But I would also like to mention a few more points from the point of our mission and from the point of the needs of Ukraine in terms of getting more help from the EU to support our business in Ukraine. So in conditions of the ongoing Russian military aggression, the relevant mechanisms promoting Ukrainian exports are vital for our economy. We are grateful to the European Commission for helping Ukraine to overcome problems caused by this aggression, providing necessary tools. So, as it was already mentioned, the lifting of trade barriers, the temporary lifting, of course, of trade barriers, which was implemented since, if I'm not mistaken, March 2022, significantly helped in terms of export from Ukraine. Also, I was interested to hear about EU exhibition initiative. So I would like to ask to share it with us, because our Ministry of Foreign Affairs is very interested in helping Ukrainian businesses to receive venues, of course, free of charge for the for making exhibitions of Ukrainian exporters. Since because of war, it's hard for many companies to pay for the venue, especially abroad, and to organize some kind of the exhibition event. So this initiative would be really important for us. And I gladly take note that this exhibition is already in preparation. So Martin, please share it with us whenever you have some feedback. Also, I should mention about that on June 7th, 2022, the Commission, in the framework of the EU-Ukraine Solidarity Alliance, which I think we'll also discuss today, officially launched the EU-Ukraine Business Matchmaking Platform. The platform was created on the basis of the European Enterprise Network for European and Ukrainian businesses and for the export and import of goods from to Ukraine. This is very important. Also, tools like EU for Business are important. I know you already heard about them from the respective speakers from DG GROW, but I just want to reiterate our appreciation for these tools as the member of the economical unit of the mission, and to say thanks to the Commission for providing all this instrument, and it really supports business in these hard days, especially EU for Business already supported us when it was the COVID time. So yeah, this is very useful. Despite apart from EU for Business, the Stand for UA Business initiative, which was providing advice to SMEs, which was working, I think, from April to June 2022, was also important. So any tool, any kind of advice, any kind of help, especially, of course, providing grants to Ukrainian business, this is all very much appreciated. And well, of course, let me mention reiterate our sincere gratitude to DG GROW for work and preparation which has been carried out in terms of signing the single market program, which is the umbrella, the agreement on Ukraine becoming part of the single market program. And yes, we thought about many elements, as Martin already presented. There were 6 of them, I mean, in terms of this program, but we decided, first of all, to focus on business support tool, which is SME support, and statistic, which was supported by our Ministry of Economy and our state agency of statistics, that they want to participate particularly in these 2 elements. Yes, we very much look forward for tomorrow EU-Ukraine summit, and we look forward for this agreement to be signed. And many thanks again to DG GROW. I know I've been involved in the process of preparation of text of this agreement. It took time, it took efforts, but we succeeded, and it's very important. Just taking a few more moments to briefly introduce also the international platform called Nazovny. My Ukrainian colleagues know what Nazovny means. For international colleagues, Nazovny means exterior. This system was developed by our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and now I would say it's our main export promotion tool, the foreign diplomacy tool. So the international platform Nazovny is designed to provide diplomatic assistance to Ukrainian exporters on foreign markets. Further conditions are mandatory for cooperation with the platform. This is registration of the enterprise of the territory of Ukraine, because first of all, it's designed to help our exporters to facilitate business-to-business contacts and to promote the export abroad. So the enterprise it can be a manufacturer or exporter of products of goods. We also require them to make a really good presentation, commercial offer in English, so counterparts abroad would really understand what the company offers on the market. Just to be brief, this is the help that we are providing as diplomatic missions abroad, embassies, to Ukrainian exporters. For example, if the company wants to sell, for example, let's say sunflower oil in Spain, so basically through this system Nazovny, they register themselves as the Ukrainian enterprise. They leave the application, and my colleague diplomat from the economic unit like myself in Spain, he receives this application, then he brings this commercial offer to his contacts, and therefore he facilitates the business-to-business contacts and therefore export capability. Just one more point, that recently, a few months ago, basically from the end of the previous year, for foreign importers, it's also important, foreign importers to look for any kind of product from Ukraine. For example, a company from Belgium wants to buy, for example, potatoes in Ukraine. So it's basically, it's very easy, the procedure. You just need to go to nazovny.online to this platform. It gives you the website in English where everything is mentioned, and just on the top of the web page, you just click on import application. So when you as a foreign importer, you enter on this import tool on this import button. When you click, so it opens you like a Q&A page where you fill in information about yourself, about point of contacts, about the products that you offer. Of course, it's highly appreciated to put inside some. I mean, on this questionnaire form, the presentation of your company and specification of the product that you want to import from Ukraine. I mean, it's very simple. If you take a look at it, you just follow step by step. You fill out the form, then you click on submit. And our team of this platform Nazovny, they process your request, and then they send your relevant application of the kind of product you want to import from Ukraine to the appropriate exporter from Ukraine, who will get in contact with you, and it may be a success business-to-business story. Well, that's it for my part. I will not take too much time, and I wish you all fruitful event, and thanks very much to my colleagues from ENN Consortium. We as a Ministry of Foreign Affairs are also the members of this consortium for your productive cooperation.
Thank you, Yuri. Could you put in the chat the link to Nazovny and maybe very short instruction how to approach this tool, because I think might be useful for the participants. If you have 2 minutes to do this.
Yes, I will add the link, and concerning the instructions, whenever you just open this link, it already describes the steps.
Okay.
As I mentioned, step 1, step 2, just as important to fill in all the information about yourself as the importer, and then you click on submit, and then it's been taken care of our team of Nazovny.
Okay, great. Are there any questions towards Yuri's or Yerhan presentations?
Maybe I would just like to say that the Nazovny database is already promoted on the Enterprise Europe Network website, Connect.
Okay, anybody else would like to take the floor? If not, we will move to the presentation of the EEN Ukraine Consortium. As you may see from the agenda, all the partners will be able to present themselves and present the services they can provide under the Enterprise Europe Network. And we will start with the coordinator of the consortium, which is Olga Shubina from UCCI. Please, Olga, go on, and then please follow one by one. I will not take the floor anymore to save time, let's say.
Yeah. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot, dear participant. Thank you a lot, Agnieszka. And I want to say that today it's a great pleasure for us, for all of us, present this project and present our organization in the frame of this big forum, in the frame of this event. So I also need to mention that today event was organized by our consortium with the support of EEN and with the support of the ISMEA and European Commission. It's really great pleasure that we can support our country, that we can promote our businesses, and we can also give some opportunities to them and some tools to use these tools with our team. And I also need to mention that this year we have a new consortium. We have 8 organizations that support our business in the frame of different sectors. We also have different tools to support our innovation companies. We also have the tools to support our digital companies, IT, and we have clusters who has also present these projects in Ukraine. So I also want to highly appreciate support of the EU Commission and ISMEA that support our consortium and sign with us the grant agreement. And now we can give all this opportunity to our business. So I think that I will start a small presentation regarding UCCI and our services. As you know that I will share my screen. Okay, in a full mode. So do you see it well? Everything is okay, so I can continue? Yeah.
Yes, everything okay.
Nice, thank you. So regarding our consortium, as I said already, we have 8 organizations. We have the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Technology Transfer Department of Institute of Physics, National Academy of Science of Ukraine, New International Corporation, Taras Shevchenko National University, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, State Financial Institution. Also, it's organization, Association Industrial Automation of Ukraine, and non-governmental organization, Information Technology Cluster, IT Cluster. All these organizations support EN in Ukraine and support our companies in different sectors, like I said already. So also some small information regarding UCCI, regarding Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry is quite a big organization. We are international organization, and also we have the representative in all in a lot of countries. We also have the representative, our advisors, the EN advisors, present almost all region in Ukraine. The Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, we react on the war in Ukraine, and we have a group of experienced experts in international law and expert advisors. We have a service for emergency business support. It's like a hotline, an expert. Also, we have the consultation for business regarding relocation, because you know that right now we have the problem, and a lot of our companies, they relocate inside of the country, and also some of them moving to the European Union, and there they need support also. We have a hotline for a business support development network of regional representatives and monitoring and evaluating Ukrainian business environment. So all these facts, they give us possibility to support our companies in a different ways. Next, UCCI sector focus on food and beverage, agro, manufacturing and goods, textile, sustainability and resilience. And preliminary action plan of our activity on this year. It's not this only the half of the year. We have some plan. We have the events on fashion, on the food sector, and also this year, first time, the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry want to organize the first Ukrainian Scandinavian Business Forum, and in the frame of this forum, we want present our cooperation, our possibility to cooperate with other countries, with the Scandinavian countries, and so we hope that our Scandinavian partners will support us in our activities. And I think that if any of you want to be our co-organizers, to be our partners, we will be glad if you can share with us your information, and we can make some points, some panels together. So maybe this all, and I know that we have the limit of time. That's why I want to invite my colleague and the previous coordinator of the EN Ukraine Consortium, now is the manager, the general manager of the EN Ukraine Consortium, Olena Maryanivna Fisenko. Please take your floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga, for giving me a floor. And one moment, I will share my presentation. Can you see my slide? Everything is okay?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. Dear colleagues, my name is Fisenko Olena, and now I am a general manager of EN Ukraine Consortium, and now I represent my organization. It is representative. I am representative of National Academy of Science, and our organization is one of the oldest member of Enterprise Europe Network. My team have about 8+ years of experience of working in EN. We have a large database of our own clients. It's about 6,000 active clients from different topics and different sectors. We have also quite a big community, about 16,000, and as a rule, during the year, about 1,000 of SME participated in a different of our events. My organization provided a very wide package of services for small medium enterprises and innovation organization startups for namely such service as providing advanced network services for export and innovation-oriented SMEs, registration of our clients in the EN database, and creation for them profiles about their company, about their services, about their products, for looking for partners, international partners for them. Also, my team take part very active in organizing different type of events. We organize different type of events, and it's pleasure that this event, current event, was also organized and very active, involved in my team. This event was organized by EN Ukraine Consortium together with EASME and with support European Commission. Also, we organize as a rule per year different type of company mission, brokerage event, and different type of summer schools for small medium enterprises, info days, webinars, training. And yes, of course, we try to cooperate very close with EN partners over the world, and also with cluster organization. Also, it's very interesting to see maybe some information about our last events. Here you can see promotion materials from our 3 company missions, which we organized to Nuremberg, Stuttgart, Turin, and others cities in Europe. Here you can see some photos from this event. In totally about 30 Ukrainian SMEs took part physically, because it was not online event, it was on-site event, and we bring these companies to different exhibition. For example, it was BV Summit in Stuttgart. Also, it was a very big fashion design week in Turin, and we plan continue this year, and we have also new idea for new events. Additionally, my team very deep involved in administration of 3 platform, namely it is the EU-Ukraine Solidarity Lanes business matchmaking platform, also electric energy matchmaking forum, and innovation bridge between German and Ukrainian innovators. More information about this platform I will provide you in my next topic a little bit later. Here you can see contact data of my team, and we open for cooperation. And the main idea of this event to increase cooperation between EN Ukraine and EN in different countries of the world, and also with cluster organization. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot, Elena. And for the next speech, I want to ask Ivana Nabius, New International Cooperation, to take floor. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Olga Sagan. I will present our company, a member of EN Ukraine Consortium. Our company is a leading company in the field of intellectual property rights protection, intellectual property management, commercialization, and technology transfer, with 26 years of experience. The main activities of our company for EN, it is consulting, marketing support, and communication between investors and SMEs. organization of roundtables, dissemination of information about the EN network and its capabilities, consulting and advisory service to support SMEs in the field of IP protection, registration and licensing. Our company is also, as an EN member, is a member of sector group Renewable Energy. Our team has been working since 2016 without changes. Next slide, please. Here's on the next slide. You will see some indicators from 2022. 40 published profiles, 43 registered clients, 2 partnership agreements, 11 events. Among them, you can see on the slide of photos from Information Day, the possibilities of the new EN platform for business development. It was placed in Banili village, Chernivtsi region, December 2022. Next slide, please. On the next slide, we'll see our plan for 2023. Among them events, info days in different Ukrainian cities like Chernivtsi, Ivano-Frankivsk, Odessa, also brokerage events in Czech Republic, Bulgaria, and Slovakia. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot. And for the next presentation, I want to ask Alexander Bedyuk to take the floor. Alexander, please.
Thank you, Olga. And I share my screen. Thank you for introducing me, and let me say some words about our activities. I represent Tasha International University, the biggest and most famous university of Ukraine. So I couldn't know say many words about this university. It's a very famous university. So about our activities, you can see the members of our team in this slide. And like other members of consortium, we provide all EN services for all Ukrainian clients. Despite this, our group focuses on working with universities, research institutes, research groups, startups, and the main aim to try to present Ukrainian technology innovation on the international market as much as possible. And some words about our activities in 2022. 45 published profile, among them 27 technology offices. It's very important because we focus it, as I say, on technologies sphere. I registered clients, from them 12 research institute universities, certain activities, from them 5 PA, and more than 30 events, and among them the presentation of Ukrainian startup in Halle, the EN meeting in Magdeburg, in Kyiv, our university, and in this year we plan 2 hackathons with selection for startup trip to Germany and 2 info days at the part of science days at our university. Of course, it's only a few part of our activities, but I focus it in activities in research, in science and technologies innovation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot, Alexander. And for the next word, I want to ask our new partners to give the floor to Alexander Yurchak. A Power Association. I also want to mention that Alexander is not only the head of the association, but also the head of the Ukrainian Cluster Alliance. And it's a rather big pleasure for us just that we can work not only with the association, but also with the clusters organization. Thank you. Alexander, take a floor.
Hello, everybody. Thanks, Olga. That's true that it's a big pleasure, big opportunity for us to join this activity of Cluster Alliance with EEN. I have a few slides to show. So, but today, of course, as I said, I in two hats and two chairs. So I'll say a few words about association, but later I switch mainly to Ukraine Cluster Alliance. So a few words about association. We are a major association in Ukraine in Industry 4.0. So we unite more than 300 members in national movement Industry 4.0. We provide different kind of activity promoting this concept in technology to end market of end user, but also to building strong assets in ecosystem, like promoting innovation fundraising and different funds, organizing technical committee, facilitating relevant clusters, developing digital innovation hub, and so on. And last year we strongly promoted this cluster movement and contributed to creation of Ukrainian Cluster Alliance, quite new organization in Ukraine, because before we existed like non-formal movement. So today Cluster Alliance becomes one of major actor between the business support organization. And we provide some recommendation and advices or proposal to government about export internationalization. This document, it's our, let's say, guide, our strategy in export internationalization. We issued it last year. With recommendation to government, and mainly we focused on three directions about how to be fast integrated into European value chain, to European innovation space, and measure about standardization. And we heavily work on this issue. So today we propose several programs, and we work in cluster community promoting this program. So it's options like support of export internationalization of SEE. So it's mainly about conference, different events. So it's typical scope of activity of EEN. It's we just find synergy today with all that. It's really great. The second program, sub-program, is about by a multilateral agreement, creating a roadmap in some sectors, like on industrial criteria. For example, we started build such bilateral agreement with Czech Republic in advanced manufacturing, and we planning to do it with Poland, Romania, maybe other countries. So what is important for us is as well a policymaker exchange, because many topics of the European agenda is still like lagging in Ukraine. So we consider it's like a very important option to start, you know, to go together with state policymaker to different fields, and to make this more extensive, more intensive exchange in this area. And talking about integration into innovation space, it's important to maybe to review, because we know, of course, the program of Eastern Partnership like EU for Digital, EU for Business. But in our opinion, maybe it's time to do more focused program, more dedicated program, including a closer collaboration with Eastern European countries. So we consider such approach with today in cluster partner. As well, for us, is a big issue how to extend the working program of EU. For example, Digital Innovation Hub in Ukraine, we have just 2 working Digital Innovation Hub. It's not at all relevant to the needs of digitalization of our SMEs. So we need more, expansion of European working program funds and tools to Ukraine. So this is our plans, and we have, of course, a very tough agenda of internationalization. So here you see some events we already do this month. It will be several events with Czech Republic. It will be Digital Health Conference in Barcelona, then in Finland, in Germany, and of course the biggest event for us is this Cluster Mid-Regions Forum in Slovakia, with big participation of European clusters, SMEs.
We don't see. You have to change the slides.
Okay.
We don't see your slides.
Yeah, what I suggested, that it's always problem with sorry for that. With Zoom. Yeah. So this is our what I show it, this our list of events for next 2-3 months. So yeah, I mentioned it that we will have many events supported by different entities, also by and we include it into year-end agenda. So well, I don't know if you saw my previous slide, but sorry for that. It's briefly, so if you have any question, it will be a pleasure to answer.
Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot. And for the next presentation, I want to ask Sergei Kravtsov to present the organization, State Financial and Innovation Institution. Sergei. Okay.
I think he connected, but I don't know if he.
Yeah, also saw him. Okay,
Yeah.
So
Good day, everyone. Here.
Hi, nice. Thank you. Good day.
Glad to see all of you. And on behalf of our chairman, I want to say a few words about our institution. I will share my screen. Do you see?
No. If you, we can help you if you need.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Maybe right now?
Yeah. Може, ти краще відкрити?
It was okay, but you need to go to the full screen mode.
Right now? Everything good?
Yeah, good.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thanks. So the State Finance Institution for Innovation were established by the Cabinet of Ministry of Ukraine with the purpose of providing financial support and attraction of investments for innovative development of the economy of our country. Our institution acts according to the law of Ukraine on innovation activity and have both financial instruments and not only financial instruments. Among them, providing direct financial support for innovation and investment project, providing different kinds of guarantees, and jointly with foreign partners, maintenance of innovation and investment projects. And also we can support and cooperate with international partners and financial companies and investors. Also, we have one of unique possibilities. We can enter into the authorized capital of SPVs. We were very glad to join ENN consortium and providing additional service to our legal entities. We joined to this consortium at the end of previous year, and for this year we are going to providing different kinds of services connected with this ENN platform. And also we are going to organize a few info days for providing to not only our customers and partners, but all legal entities and local companies to receive information about this platform and its possibilities. We are glad to be a part of this consortium, and thanks for helping us and support Ukraine.
Thank you. Thank you, Serhiy. It's for us also a big pleasure that you can participate in our consortium and become our member. And for the last presentation, I want to ask Olga Shapoval to take the floor. Olga,
hi to
please.
everybody. Yes, please. Do you see my presentation?
Yeah, everything is okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Olga Shapoval. I am Executive Director of Kharkiv IT Cluster. Ukrainian IT industry, despite the war, increased international sales about 6% compared to peaceful 2021. So generated turnover more than 7 billion euro last year. And the key markets for Ukrainian IT businesses were United States, European Union, and Israel. It's about 90% of all sales which created IT industry in 2022 and previous years. Kharkiv IT Cluster, it's NGO which unites leading IT companies of Ukraine, mainly SMEs, because market of Ukraine contained maybe mainly SMEs IT companies, and we also unite in universities, local authorities around ambitious projects for development of economy, IT business, and overcoming common challenges. Our IT cluster was actively working during more than 7 years, and currently we includes more than 250 active organization companies, and we grow each year, and last year also we grow. And our mission is to develop environment ecosystem for local tech business which expanding globally. And 95% of IT companies and also Kharkiv IT companies continue their operations in April last year. So it demonstrates the resilience, real resilience of IT industry. And if we compare last year, companies relocated their teams and continue to deliver IT solutions and products for their clients. And for last year, we joined consortium only the end of the year, but we provided our members with different events, with info days and partnerships with other partners, and we started to help them register themselves at the platform. So this year we planning, focusing on providing powerful support for our companies, for our members, and empower them to export more, to support also economy of Ukraine, and of course, develop their businesses. So we really appreciate your support, and it's the best way to support Ukraine and also Ukraine in part of IT. So please give us the opportunity to create top-class IT solutions and IT products for your businesses. So we are open for cooperation. We are open as a contact point for a Ukrainian IT industry and always on the State Connect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And as you see, all of our partners are really active, and we all can support you. And we are really appreciate your support as the European country. So if you need any help from our side, we can spread that information and give you any possibility to work with our companies. So thank you, Agnieszka.
Thank you, Olga. I think what Olga has just done is very useful. She provided her contact details on chat. I would like to ask all the partners from the EN Ukraine Consortium, the ones who presented, please provide your contacts like Olga did, because I was already trying to find her contacts, because I think that our IT person will definitely have to get in touch with her, because what she presented is really great, and the activities you perform, I'm impressed. And I would like to express my impression over the preparation you did. It's wonderful. Even the background and everything is like you are one consortium working together, and the professionalism is astonishing. For me, chapeau bas, because I'm impressed. That's what I wanted to say. And now we will move to Olena's presentation. You have already seen Olena presenting her institution in the consortium, and now she will provide you some more information regarding her consortium initiatives, how to ease the cooperation between EU and Ukrainian companies. What are the tools they already put in place, and how we can use them for better cooperation with the Ukrainian SMEs. Please go on, Olena.
Thank you, Agnieszka. And I wanted to mention that it is very pleasure that today for this event we have more than 160 participants, and a part of them who wanted to see and to be active and to take part in the discussion now with us in Zoom, and part of them are watch broadcast of the live broadcast of this event, because I wanted to mention that it's possible to see this event via broadcast on Solidarity Lane's matchmaking platform. And I wanted also to thank all who help us to organize this event. As I said, this event was organized by EN Ukraine Consortium with very close cooperation with Internationalization Group of EN, and thank you, Agnieszka, for your active position and help. And also, I wanted to thank IASME and Digital to Grow for support in organizing this event. Now I move to my presentation. One moment. Can you see it? Everything is okay? Resilience. You know that very often this word are used for characterization of Ukraine and Ukrainians now. Ukrainian business also has shown great resilience in war period. And despite the war, Ukraine still has very strong investment and business opportunities. And I wanted to show you some tools which use our consortium for help small medium enterprises and medium and innovation organization. Despite the war, Ukraine still has a lot of advantages that make it attractive business and investment destination. Namely, location. Ukraine has strategic geographical location at the growth of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Human resources. As you know, about 70% of Ukrainians have secondary and higher education. Easy of doing business because we have simplified legal procedure for business as well as state guarantee investment security. Also, Ukraine have a very flexible finance system. And as you see, our finance system demonstrated resilience and readiness even for such challenge as Russia armed aggression. European future of Ukraine. Ukraine signed about 19 FTAs with more than 47 countries of the world. And it's very important also to mention that now we have import privilege with the European Union and Canada, Australia, and also now possible to use transport visa-free regime with the EU. Ukraine still is one of the world's largest exporter of agriculture goods. It ranks leading in terms of wheat, corn, barley export in the world. Here you can see also main agro products for export from Ukraine. And at the beginning of war, export of Ukraine for goods decreased, and yes, because it was a result of Russian war against Ukraine. And the main reason behind this is the blockade of Ukrainian ports, disruption of supply chains, and lack of access to raw materials. European Commission to help solve this problem and had launched the Solidarity Lanes Action Plan. Additionally, to one of the action foreseen under this action plan, it was established Solidarity Lanes EU-Ukraine Business Matchmaking Platform to help Ukraine export agriculture goods and to help to find new logistic way for export agro-food products from Ukraine to Ukraine. The EN-Ukraine Consortium is proud to be involved in the implementation and administration of the Solidarity Lanes Matchmaking Platform. Here you can see that at this moment, Solidarity Lanes platform have registered about 900 companies from more than 38 countries of the world. Yes, of course, we have a lot of Ukrainian companies. It's about 400 companies. And if we will look what main type of companies and from where, as you can see on map, we have registered companies not only from Europe, but also we have registered companies from non-EU countries. Here you can see different type of organization which are registered on our platform. As I mentioned, we have a lot of agro-food producers and buyers. We have also buyers, and also very big part of our participants, it's European logistic and transportation companies. The main idea of this platform to help increase matchmaking between Ukrainian and European companies. And you see that this platform quite active, and a lot of companies use it for launch it direct business-to-business meeting, and also for increasing matchmaking between all registered participants. We organized each month matchmaking event in the frame of this matchmaking platform. And we do it for activate business dialogue and to increase the cooperation between EU and Ukrainian companies. Also, we selected some interesting topic for discussion and discuss the main issues, rules, mechanism, and its help also to increase cooperation between companies. In totally, during last year, because this platform was launched in June last year, we organized already six matchmaking events and one training event. And all of these events have broadcast. Also, we very deep communicate with all registered participants and provide them consulting and help how to find clients. So the main, as I mentioned, we as a rule have one event per month, and this month we also will have upcoming matchmaking event in the frame of Ukraine Solidarity Alliance matchmaking event, and I invite you and your clients to join our events. It will be on 33 of February. And please disseminate and be free to contact with us. And if you wanted to be co-organizer, or maybe your clients wanted to be part of this event, please let us know about it. Here you can see a contact data of this platform. And I very shortly will move to next our platform, because as I mentioned, we have several platforms. You know that Ukrainian is very strong, not only in agriculture, but also Ukraine is very strong in innovation direction. Our consortium cooperate not only with SME, but also with innovation organization and startup. It's well known that Ukraine has great innovation potential. The IT industry in recent years has become an important part of Ukrainian economy. Numerous international IT leaders have opened offices in Ukraine, including Global Logic, Microsoft, DataArt, and others. In addition to IT contribution to the country's economy, the sector has had a positive impact on society and in general. Ukrainian companies generally provide software development outsourcing and or consulting to West companies. Moreover, West Corporation opened offices in Ukraine. The list of companies that opened RD centers in Ukraine includes Amazon, Google, Oracle, Samsung, and others. In addition to these companies, there is a growing trend in native Ukrainian startup development. Ukrainians have launched numerous startups both in Ukraine and abroad, and a lot of them are very famous. It's neat, for example, to mention about GitLab, a company whose main product is software for writing code. But this company was started in Ukraine, and now it costs more than $2.7 billion of dollars. Also very famous Grammarly startup Ukrainian companies, which is very good known as a unicorn company, that is a privileged health company that now have offices in many cities and countries of the world. And this startup and this grammar products, maybe you know, and maybe you use it. It help to use the writing tool that uses artificial intelligence for grammar checking, spell checking, plagiarism detection, and style suggestion. But now a lot of Ukrainian startups face a lot of challenges and problems in war. That's why we try to help them, and we together with the German partner to launch it innovation bridge North German and Ukraine, and the idea of this bridge was bring together Ukrainians and German developers. on this platform, it's possible to looking for partners or to propose for subcontract some services and to launch new cooperation. Also, you know that now in Ukraine we have big problems with electricity. Even today, before the start of this event, because now I'm in Kiev, it was 10 off of electricity in 20 minutes before the event. But we foreseen that such can help happen, and we have station electricity station, and now we use it. Yes, you see that we have problem with internet, electricity, but we continue to work. And sometimes, if you know that something can help you, you must have plan how to solve this problem very quickly. That's why we launched Electric Energy Matchmaking Forum for Ukraine support. And now idea was that on this platform we'll register European producers and distributors of electric energy equipment from one side, and from another side a Ukrainian organization which needs this equipment and which wish to buy this equipment, or maybe some equipment can be used for hospitals, administration, or some other state organization too, not only for business. We plan to organize event, matchmaking event in the frame of this Electric Energy Forum, and also invite you to be part of this event. And the main idea of this event was to find some ways to increase cooperation. And now I want to summarize what our EN Ukraine Consortium looking for. It is international staff exchange with our partners. It's interesting, and maybe to organize some common trainings and common events, traditional events as info days, webinars, different type of company mission. Also, we discussed recently with our partners of EN Ukraine, maybe it is possible to launch an international promotion campaign, invest and doing business in Ukraine on EU level. And also try together with you increase matchmaking activities of our SME. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Olena. And now we have two last presentation. First, we will invite Mr. Sergei Chivkash, Director from Ukraine Invest, to present the information about the recovery plan. And afterwards, Oksana Ocheretiana from Export Credit Agency to deliver the presentation on crediting export activities in the time of war. And then we will move to the active part of our event today, so the question and answers and discussion part. Please go on, Sergei.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for this event, and I'll be happy to talk about recovery plan and investment activities in Ukraine. We have submitted our presentation, so if I can ask your colleagues to load it up.
One moment.
And then I will follow it. Yes, thank you. So as you know, Ukraine is going through very difficult times right now. We have active stage of war against Russian aggressor, but we also have to fight on our economic front, and that's why Ukraine is working on a national recovery plan. I can give you some brief outline how it looks like at the moment. So there are three main objectives: resilience, recovery, and modernization and growth that need to follow. Resilience will provide for economic, social, and environmental resilience. Recovery, which will be finding effective solutions for soonest recovery of crucial economic and social processes, and also natural ecosystems. And then modernization and growth will lead us to development of a plan that will ensure expedited, sustainable economic growth of the country, because we cannot go back to an old system. When we will have a raw materials exporting country, we have to transform our country into a modern, economically developed European state. We have some targets that were set up by government, around 750 billion accumulated investment by 2032, at least 7% annual GDP growth rate. I think it should be higher than that beginning 2025, 2026 in order to bridge the gap and also aim to join the club of developed countries in the near future. Also, we have our target to decrease facilities that produce high levels of CO2 and decrease them by at least 65% compared to 1990 level. Can I have a next slide, please? So what's happening now? We have donor support. Ukraine is also working on sustaining economy at a level that allows country to function effectively even during the war. In 2023, we will be given support from EU, United States, and other countries. EU committed to 18 billion euros in order to support Ukrainian budget, and also about $10 billion will come from the United States. Ukraine has begun its recovery, and government of Ukraine has identified 4 priorities: restoration of energy, humanitarian demining, reconstruction of housing, and critical and social infrastructure. Also, we work with international partners to coordinate financial instruments that will support economic recovery and recovery of the private sector. Namely, we're working on programs that will introduce war risk insurance, enable public-private partnership, and assist in financing small and medium-sized business projects. About $17 billion needed to implement priority recovery, as it called, while amount of urgent repairs related to roads, infrastructure, our electricity system is around 5 to 7 billion. These are just the minimum, very minimum thresholds that we need to achieve in order for the country to operate during the war. Ukraine and its government actively working with donors, as I said, and on the 26th of January, Prime Minister of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal, opened his inaugural meeting with Ukrainian multi-agency donor coordination platform steering committee. So we are heading towards that. We have seen a lot of attention from international partners lately. Just a couple of days ago, we have seen support from United States Development Finance Corporation. Also, Polish partners are working on a draft law to introduce war risk insurance and political risk insurance for investments into Ukraine. Germany, France, and other countries working on this as well. United Kingdom will be organizing an annual conference on Ukraine this year. It will be held in approximately June 2023, and we will see plenty of developments before that conference, and many programs will be announced during the conference. Next slide, please. So we as Ukraine Invest, we are Government of Ukraine Investment Promotion Agency. We are focused on attraction of foreign direct investment into Ukraine. Our main priority is to support private sector in Ukraine and make sure that it's not only operates at a pre-war level, but also attracts new investments and new partnerships. So therefore, we have identified for ourselves 4 sectors plus 1 of our priority activities. We are actively working on programs that will bring investments into agri-processing in Ukraine, in the sector of construction materials, in logistics, and also in furniture manufacturing. We think that these are top sectors that are related to reconstruction of Ukraine, and investment potential is just enormous. At the moment, we are creating our pipeline of investment projects. I will show them to you later. And this pipeline is growing on daily basis. Also, we have a strategic sector that has been identified, namely its production of transport, manufacturing of transport vehicles, buses and cars, all vehicles that are needed for Ukraine. And not only for Ukraine, but for neighboring countries, because we have potential to become European center for production of transport vehicles. We have deposits of lithium, cobalt, other critical minerals that are needed for electric transport, and also we can work with production of conventional cars and buses in Ukraine. We have a good track record of working with global companies. We supply parts for cars like BMW, Porsche, Lamborghini, and Volkswagen Group, and all the other famous car manufacturers throughout the world. Next slide, please. So this is our pipeline of projects that were selected by Ukraine Invest. We have analyzed hundreds of projects, and now we are showcasing the most promising ones. In agri-processing sector, we have 3 projects totaling to $370 million. In logistics sector, we have also 3 projects, total amount around $600 million. In mining sector, we have 1 significant project with investment circa $500 million. And also we have 4 projects in construction materials sector, total amount of investment $650 million. We think that within the next 6 months, our portfolio will have requests for investment in about $3 to $5 billion within these sectors, and additional sectors that are needed for development of Ukraine and rebuilding of Ukraine. Next slide, please. Very important to present to all international investors and companies, specifically within Enterprise Europe network, success cases of attraction of businesses even during the war. So I will be talking for a couple of minutes now for investment projects that were announced during the war. It's very hard to believe that a country during the war can attract investment into a greenfield. And these are greenfields. This is very important. These are only few at the moment, but it's a very right and very important signal for European partners and for the whole world. So Irish global company Kingspan, they were the first ones to leave Russia in March 2022, and were one of the first ones to announce significant investment project in Ukraine. So they will invest more than 200 million euros. They will build up to 6 plants in the west of Ukraine, and they will bring the latest technologies. This would be the biggest technological campus among their group globally. They will create at least 1,000 jobs, and the project that will be implemented in Ukraine has been titled by Kingspan Sirche. Sirche, translated from Irish language, means freedom. So we are very thankful to our Irish partners for this initiative, and they are doing well in Ukraine right now. We supporting all this process, like choosing the land, appointing engineers, architects, all getting all permissions that are needed for construction. They are happy with doing business in Ukraine. They are not stopping, and they are in the active stage of implementation of their projects right now. They are planning to start brick and mortar stage to build facility end of 2023 if conditions permit in Ukraine. Next slide. Another project that was announced in Ukraine by company Nestle. It's also a global company that already operates in Ukraine. They will invest at least 40 million euros in new production in Smolihiv in the Volyn region. As Alessandro Zanelli, CEO of Southeastern European market of Nestle, said, I'm proud to confirm our commitment to invest in Ukraine. This is an important move for Nestle, taking into account the very challenging time for the country. We aim to create a food and culinary hub, ensuring incremental jobs and serve the needs of Ukrainians and all European citizens with high quality products. So it's a very important message, because companies not only enter in Ukraine or developing their business in Ukraine in order to support reconstruction of Ukraine, they also developing their facilities. They have these plans in order to produce goods to European countries and countries within reasonable reach around Ukraine. Next slide, please. Before I go into this slide, I also have to mention Bayer company. They also announced significant investment project in Ukraine. They will invest at least 35 million euros into their manufacturing facility in Ukraine. Very important company that plays significant role in agricultural sector. Also a very strong signal to all international investors and players in Ukraine. What Ukraine is doing at the moment during the war, we are actively focused on presenting and giving to Ukrainian and international investors investment incentives. We understand that the risk is high of investing in Ukraine right now, and that's why Ukraine is providing a list of incentives that is important for investors when they consider Ukraine. So at the moment, Ukraine can offer for projects that will come with greenfields and will develop our manufacturing sector, 10 years corporate income tax exemption, VAT and import duties exemption for new equipment, full or partial interest rates compensation on loans from Ukrainian banks, and financing for arrangement of industrial parks. Also, under the law for state support for projects with significant investments, Ukraine can offer up to 30% state support of the total capex. So the company has to invest at least 20 million euros, and then it can get exemption from CIT for 5 years, also VAT and import duties exemption for new equipment, land tax exemption, and also connection to grids at the cost of state of Ukraine. Ukraine Invest has been designated in 2021 as responsible state agency for providing support to investors that want to apply under this program. So we have managed to gather together right before the war 28 projects for total amount over 2 billion euros. 3 projects submitted applications. Unfortunately, they did not sign agreement with state of Ukraine because the war broke out, but we are getting back on the track, and we already have 8 projects for total amount 1 billion euros in investments. By the end of March, we plan to submit applications for at least 500 million euros. We are actively working now with companies to prepare their feasibility studies, to explain to them all the details of Ukrainian legislation and secondary legislation that was introduced by Ministry of Economy of Ukraine. So I invite all investors, all companies that are interested to consider working with Ukraine now. And there is a practical explanation to that. So when you consider a greenfield project, it will take you between 2 to 3 years to execute this project. And at least half of that time you will need to spend on preparation stages. So you need to look for land, you need to get permissions, you need to get acquainted with local legal specifics and so on. At the same time, preparation stage costs you almost nothing. It could be 1% of the total cost of the project or even less. Sometimes it could be more expensive if the project is not significant according to the law. So if the companies will consider Ukraine now, at the end of the war, you will be able to build your project quicker, and you will be able to benefit most from the process of reconstruction and rebuilding of Ukraine. We will need a lot of materials, we will need a lot of products, and companies that will produce them in Ukraine will have priority, of course, in order to access Ukrainian market. A lot of buildings and infrastructure were destroyed in Ukraine. When we talk about real estate, for example, at least 75 million square meters of residential and commercial property was fully or partially destroyed. Can you imagine how much glass, how much bricks, how much concrete, how much sandwich panels and other materials we will need in Ukraine in order to rebuild? And also Ukraine, as I said, will be a very strong point of production of your products for European countries. Next slide, please. Investment insurance, very important topic, and we have seen some strong developments lately. United States Development Finance Corporation, they already considering projects from Ukraine and providing offers for eligible investment projects to cover against war risk, including physical damage. Subsidiary of World Bank, MIGA, they also considering several projects now in order to issue this insurance cover and financing. We also know that the German Ministry of Economy is not closing that program and ready to consider projects that will have German link to that. And if anyone from Germany is interested to consider the opportunity, we are happy to work with you and to support submission of your application to relevant agency. Also, our Polish partners are working on a draft law right now in order to introduce significant program to cover investments into Ukraine. They are probably the only one export credit agency that's still covering commercial risks in Ukraine. I met them a couple of days ago in Warsaw, and I was surprised when I asked them, what about losses? Because you operate with Ukraine and the country is in a state of war. And they said that actually losses connected to cover of commercial risks are lower in case of Ukraine than in case of some G7 countries that they are working with. So that means that Ukrainian business is resilient. At the beginning of the war, more than 90% of Ukrainian businesses or businesses that operate in Ukraine with foreign capital were out of business. They stopped operation. As of November 2022, more than 86% of businesses that operate in Ukraine were fully or partially back to business. That means that the country is very keen to redevelop itself, and business is our backbone. So cooperation with European network of enterprises, very important for us. For us, it's very important to present to you opportunities and also to do a business matching exercise. There are many strong companies in Ukraine that could be strong partners for European companies. Also, state of Ukraine is very active in order to make our business environment as enabling as possible in order to convert or transform Ukraine into a new investment mecca, European investment mecca. That is very important, and we have to do this together. Next slide, please. It's about investment insurance, so there could be long-term insurance, cover assets, income, and counterparty risk, and also this could cover greenfield or follow-up investments. Next slide. That is probably the last slide. There was one more slide with our contact details I wanted to showcase to you, but I can type in my email address and phone number into a chat. So once again, Ukraine is open for business, specifically now. We are happy to consider your ideas. Whatever business you may think about doing in Ukraine or with Ukraine, please do get in touch with us. We have a team of experts and team of professionals that will guide you through legal specifics, economic specifics, financial specifics, or knowledge on the ground that can be provided to you in specific regions of Ukraine. We coordinate our activity with all regional authorities and central authorities. So please do get in touch with us and do not miss the opportunity of rebuilding Ukraine by also receiving a benefit of building your company stronger and more prosperous in the future. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergey. Oksana, please go on and please try to keep to 10-15 minutes because otherwise there will be no chance for discussion because I see people are leaving already. So thank you very much for that.
Okay. I will do my best. I see that some people are already leaving. So I will start with a little reflection. Last November, I was lucky enough to visit Rwanda for BEN Union annual meeting. BEN Union is an organization that unites all export credit agencies and export credit banks. And when I told the audience that despite the war, the business works, shows incredible adaptive abilities, but needs investment, I saw sometimes surprise and delight. And after returning home, I realized that it is important not only to continue helping business, what we as ACA do, but also to talk about it. I want more people in the world know that Ukrainian business is worth helping, worth investment. That's why I find this webinar an extremely important link in the spreading information about Ukraine. Maybe I will not need the whole my presentation. So I'll take the control if you don't mind. I'll do it quickly and easier. Thank you. Okay, now you see my screen. I'll do it quickly as I promised. I'm sorry, can you hear me? I cannot hear anyone.
I hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. I was wondering. So at this point, I'll move to the role of ACA. ACA was created a little more than 4 years ago to ensure or guarantee risk that appear on export activities. ACA supports the export of all types of works and services without restrictions, IT services, legal services, restoration services, once again, without restriction. But ACA has some restrictions regarding ensuring the export of goods. As now we support only goods with additional value, not commodities or agriculture, we are constantly working on expanding those group of codes, and already today the export subject to ACA cover has been widened from 16 to 41 up to 45%, depends how to count, of Ukrainian export of goods. What exactly is ACA? When exactly is ACA necessary and useful? The first is when you export on the terms of deferred payment or payment by installments. In this case, we will not only cover the risk that the foreign buyer will not settle the payment, but also we will check the buyer for reliability. This is insurance of foreign economic agreement contract. The second and the third is when you need financing or a guarantee to implement an export contract, especially if you have difficulties meeting with bank's requirements for collateral. In this case, feel free to propose the bank to cover the risk of failure that repay by loan of ACA insurance. Why the bank should be interested in that? It's simply because in May 2022, it means last year, the National Bank of Ukraine established that ACA guarantees or insurance contracts are liability collateral with a collateral liquidity ratio at 0.85. Lower risk for bank, a loan to exporter. Those changes allowed us to introduce such an important product as pre-export loan portfolio insurance, which eliminates the corruption component in decision-making, speed up the process of granting loans, and encompasses a large number of small and medium-sized enterprises. This product became a mainstream last year. So it allowed us in 2022 to help to 44 exporters. Their contracts were insured. With the support of ACA, banks provided loans that exporters in the total amount of almost $7 million of the loans. And because of those loans, the export were performed at the amount exceed $83 million. At the end of the year, our liability amounted to almost $7 million. So this gives us a possibility to say that each and every dollar of ACA's liability leads to almost $13 of future Ukrainian export. 3 state-owned banks were the first to join the program, but Privatbank and the first private-owned bank, Credobank, joined us at the beginning of this year. 2 more private banks are now interested in the portfolio insurance program, which is already a good sign that the private banks are planning to return to lending to the real sector of the economy. Those appetites are still small, but they are, so it's a good news for us. Well, if the portfolio program is designed for small loans, like up to 20 million hryvnias and with the term up to 1 year, ACA can always support larger and longer loans. This is just will be done on the individual basis, and somewhat it can be a little more expensive. For example, if the cost of ACA services for portfolio for the wartime period is reduced to 0.5%, then for the individual it will cost an average of 1.2, 1.6. But the final, that's just an example, but the final cost will also be determined at the individual. And finally, I was asked to do it quickly, so I tried to do my best. What we all gathered here for investment. Last month's G7 ACAs released a joint statement expressing support for Ukraine. More and more other ACAs are opening limits for Ukraine. They are doing it carefully and slowly. My special thanks goes to KUKE, who were the first one to open their limits for Ukraine. As my colleague Sergei in the previous presentation mentioned, there is still an issue of war risk insurance, and mostly there are case-by-case solutions. But I must say that now ACA Ukraine, we together with the Ministry of Economy and the Deputy Corps, we are working on the mechanism to help their investments to get those insurance with the ACA Ukraine. Of course, we were not, we were established to support exporters, but we are still the part of economy, and there are some kind of solutions when ACAs are helping with investments to the country. So now together with the Ministry of Economy and Deputy Corps, we are working on this solution. And I really hope that in the nearest time, we will be able to start acting as soon as possible. It's a very good idea. I cannot tell the whole details, but I really think that we will be able to cover up and to help investors to Ukraine. So looking forward to developing more solutions, and let's be in touch. I'll give my contact details to the chat, and please feel free to ask or even after the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oksana. I have just received an information as you all that Jean-Philippe had to leave, so I will take over the moderation of the discussion part. As you may see, we are very lack of time because I think we should finish by 1 as we plan to finish by 12:30. But I would like to bless you, Olena, but I would not like to delete the discussion part totally from the agenda. So please, if any of you who has a question, please, now is the time for questions towards all the presentations, towards whatever you can imagine regarding the cooperation with Ukrainian companies, Ukrainian EN consortium, or if there are questions from the Ukrainian side towards the cooperation with EN, European ENs, please also feel free. Because if we don't have questions, we will ask questions to you. And it will be worse. Okay, please.
Oh, can I go? Is this open floor right now?
Yeah.
I just want to announce that I will be returning to Ukraine for my second visit in 2 months. I will be in Kyiv on representing my organization on February 12th, and we'll be there for 2 weeks. So we already have some plans. However, I will leave my contact information in the chat, and I'm looking to connect with as many Ukraine entities and businesses as possible during my visit. I represent Optech BV. We are a cluster in Berlin-Brandenburg focusing on sensor, photonic, and optical technologies, along with quantum. And we are highly incentivized and interested to support our Ukrainian sisters and brothers. Thank you for your time.
This was not really a question. A little bit of promotion is always good, but okay. Is there anybody with a question now? Because if not, I've seen one question on the chat, which I will read and we will try to respond. And then maybe you, Olena, would like to ask the questions we were sending in the email to the participants, and we would like to receive some answers to them. So the question which came in the beginning of our session was quite long. I have it here. Business participation innovation solutions from the West are key to work together with for Ukraine firms, institutions. A possible dilemma here is: 1, do firms need to keep on doing business as usual, means charging market fees? This was 1. 2, or they have to consider a non-profit strategy given the situation in the country, or rather both can apply. It all depends on sector segments context, question mark. Also depending on the origin of funds, private, public loans, public grants. Sorry for being so direct. In the end, we are all helping Ukraine in time, money, material support. This notwithstanding, it may be good to have some criteria on the business approach too for Ukraine. I think it's quite interesting, not an easy one, quite heavy. Is there anybody who could tackle this question, or you prefer the written reply? Martina, are you preparing yourself?
Yes. Well, not an easy question.
Not an easy one.
Answer, but I think the needs in Ukraine are huge, and the opportunities, challenges, and the opportunities as well. We've covered many of them today. From our side, from the European Commission, I think my colleague from the engineer will share the same view. We definitely want EU companies to work with Ukraine. We know that you are really ready for that, and we want to help as much as possible. Of course, it has to be a win-win. I mean, there won't be any business dragged into European company dragged into Ukraine if they don't want to. So it has to be, I would say, attractive on both sides. And for that, our role is really to make this business environment as transparent, to really know what the conditions are, and we will be helping in offering the right tools to facilitate this cooperation. Then still European companies are invited to donate. I know that many of them have already done so, individually, through your business organizations, through your sectoral contacts, and we still invite you to do so, because that can really help in the very, very short term other companies in Ukraine. So I would say everything that can help should contribute. We don't have a strategy for one or the other. I think all efforts are welcome.
Is there anybody else who would like to take the floor regarding this difficult issue? So many participants and nobody asking. I think the presentation were very clear, and we can be tired because there were really, really many important information and in such a short time. Olena, would you like to ask the questions we prepared to the audience, or you prefer to send them by email afterwards? What is your feeling?
I think maybe we will try to ask, and yes, of course, we will prepare some survey, and we will send to all participants, because it is very important to receive feedback from you, and you will have some additional question in the survey about your idea how we can to increase our cooperation and how we can help our clients, I mean Ukrainian companies and European companies to cooperate. One of things, because during the preparation of this event, we communicate with a lot of organizations, and we received some signals that there is not enough information about Ukraine on, business information, innovation information, investment information on EU level about investment and business opportunities in Ukraine. And I wanted to ask our audience, maybe from your experience, because we have now participants from many, many countries of the world. How you think? Is it maybe there is lack information about possibility how we're doing business in Ukraine, about investment possibility in Ukraine? Maybe it's have sense to organize some promotion campaign about Ukraine. How you think? Is it you feel that there is enough information about Ukrainian business? Do you have in your country or not? Maybe someone from our participants from different countries, maybe from EN offices or from cluster organization can to share information, because now information more specific, not about war in Ukraine, but more about information about business and investment opportunities, because yes, we have war, yes, we have problem, but we still to continue to work, and we have a lot of opportunities to cooperate. Please, maybe someone wanted to say something. Discussion also.
Yeah, I see the point from Mike on chat. Need help with basics, residence permit, how to open a bank account, which may mean that people are not self-assured or aware of basic issues. If they can really go there, if they can really stay there, how to do this and so on. So this may be really an important issue, that the basics are missing, because they don't know if they changed or they can travel on the same way they did.
Hi, everyone.
Yes.
Yes, maybe I just quickly will jump on the question about how people feel the information about Ukraine and business and investments. I'm based in Luxembourg, and we have recently had the business forum. It was 2 days ago, quite a big event. And while the panels, the problem which I saw is that we speak one language, business language, and Europe understands and accepts another business language, and completely different governance tools to do this business. So our task here in Europe and there in Ukraine is to make the synergy of proper governance and proper vocabulary of the processes which we have in Ukraine, to properly explain them, deliver, mitigate, explain how we mitigate those risks, and then follow up step by step, case by case. Thank you.
Okay, but maybe maybe it is a good idea to organize some big promotion campaign about how to something like investing and doing business in Ukraine opportunities, and we can prepare some materials, and all partners can translate it in native languages and share it. It is some of opportunities how to cooperate. The next point is to organize different events. I think we will send back feedback survey, yes, and please put there maybe some events which will be interesting for our participants too. And maybe you have some special activities in your region or your countries. Please share this information with us, because it's very important, quite important to know about all possibility for cooperation. Because yes, each of us have a lot of different activities, but to have such platform for very big communication, it is very important. That's why this event, it is for one side, the idea of this event to share information about Ukraine. Another side of this event to try to find joint point of communication, how to increase this communication. That's why I kindly ask all participants after the event, when you will receive a feedback form with survey, please share with us your idea, your information about events, activities which are in your consortium, your region, maybe in your country, because it's quite important. Maybe some of you have already opportunity to cooperate with some Ukrainian organization and can share information how you attract and how you communicate with your clients and provide information about Ukraine. I have seen one question, Agnieszka.
Yeah, Olena, I see also that there are comments to what you are saying that that it's correct that people are learning how to take the train,
Yes,
what are the
thank
bus
you.
options, general safety, etc. So I think, yeah, is somebody taking
Yes,
the floor?
Susanna.
Okay, so I will do it afterwards.
Oh, okay, I just want to thank you for a great introduction to all the possibilities. I think we can all agree that they are excellent. We have to, maybe it's an elephant in the room, we have to convince our SMEs to take part and on the various platforms or the events. And to be honest, in Denmark, I'm from Denmark, we have a very difficult time, I know in Sweden as well, to attract the SMEs to participate. I think every day in the news, the war is still very much present and the bombing. And I tried to convince an ICT company to go and open up an office, but they preferred not to because of the war and the risk was too much for them. And I think you have also, I know it's not an excuse, but you had the COVID-19 effects or follow consequences. You had the inflation now and also the energy. So many SMEs are struggling to survive. Well, maybe not as much as you, and I apologize for the inconsiderate remarks, but we really try hard. But I think maybe, as you said, Olena, a more simple promotion campaign, one-pager that we can maybe distribute, you know, it's possible. And I like the investment also the presentation of the investment opportunities, but these are huge companies, as you probably noticed. Nestle and Kingspan are huge companies, but for the SMEs, it is really, I don't think I'm the only one. I'm just talking about the elephant in the room. How can we get the European SMEs to be more active? That's sort of the question. And I know you're doing all what you can, and we would love to promote and be active, but it's a little bit against the wall at the moment, and have been for a while. But please let me know if I'm too direct. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for your comments. I only want to add one point, that our COVID story stopped when in February when the war started, because now we completely don't have problems with COVID. I ran in my organization, city, and everywhere. Yes, it is on the second front. It is not now is so important because we have a very big number of people who received vaccination. That's why this problem is absent. No, is not so important and is absent in Ukraine. Yes, war risks are present, and it's a reality which we have, but it's very depends from region, from with which region you cooperate, because yes, it's dependent central Ukraine, eastern part, western part. That's why it's small remark.
And I also need to mention that right now we need to communicate with the other two countries, and we need to give the information regarding all our opportunities that we have. And yes, we have the risk, but we also have the organization who can support our companies, and also support the companies who are abroad. So we can give some maybe information regarding our companies who can make export, regarding their reliability. Maybe this will be like a guarantee. Yeah, I know that it's quite small guarantee, but we also can just try to support anti-European companies also.
Girls, Olga, Olena, I think there is a question to you both. Would you be available to visit our on-site events online and tell about the possibilities? Would this be a good idea? I think this is a very good proposal already on chat to include you as speakers to provide more general information about how to do business in Ukraine. So I think you can answer that you are very open, and everybody who is interested in your participation should get in touch with you, but please say it yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, please contact with our consortium, with consortium partner, please contact with us. If you are EN organization, you have all our contact database, all our contacts in the EN database, we are present there. If you cluster organization, please contact with us. We will, after this meeting, we will send maybe contact data of all partner of EN Ukraine Consortium to all registered participants, and maybe it will help to increase cooperation between other organizations than EN, because EN have in our own database, but other organizations don't have our contacts. That's why we disseminate information. And also please pay attention that now we have live broadcast, and after this meeting we have immediately video on the Solidarity Lanes platform, and everyone from you can to see this video. And please be free to disseminate this video between your clients or between your partners. And we also will try to disseminate link on this video after this event. Maybe Olga, you wanted something to say also?
No, I just want to say that we will spread all information that you saw today, and also you can also take our contacts. I also say my private contact, my private number of telephone, so you can just write me email, you can just call me anytime, and we can discuss all possibilities for cooperation with me and Solana. We are always together, so like a coordination team, and we for sure we will give you all possibility. And if we need to get some measures how to fight with these risks, or with the opinion of the European companies regarding our countries and regarding doing business with our countries, we also can try to make some measures and to try to make some cases, just to give you the opportunity that we still have our economy alive. So.
Okay, I think there were many questions about presentation, video, etc. So now you know that it will be made available, the presentation, the contact details, the live broadcast. So we're happy. I think we are really lucky that until the end, half an hour after the event was supposed to finish, we have still 60 participants. So let's be nice with them and don't keep them for longer. So I would like to ask Martin to sum up our webinar, close it, and I hope it was very useful for you. I hear that it was. So we are very happy that so many of you participated. Please, Martin, take the final remarks, and and you tell maybe about the future events we may do as a follow-up of this successful one. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I will keep it very short, but I think indeed it was a very intense webinar, very interesting. I also learned quite a lot, although I've been working on this subject now for 8 months. I think it's a very evolving subject. So I think what I learned from today's event is that we would need, and I'm happy to discuss that with the internationalization working group, but mainly with our EN partner, how to create a hub where we can find a lot of practical information with maybe frequently asked questions, so that people know where to find all this information, where also to find a list of events, because today we heard about so many different events that are going to take place, and this is a sign that there is trust, that people do want to take advantage of the opportunities today and not wait for the war to be over. I was recently talking to the Trade Promotion Europe, and they said that they are working with countries that have been experiencing war for many years in Africa, in other parts of the world, where the conditions are also very difficult, but businesses know where there are opportunities, they will go. I think this is very important. Ukraine is a big market. You have lots of needs there, and I think EU companies definitely have a lot to offer. So coming back to this idea of having a hub where we can find information, practical information, more maybe informal information that is not always easy to publicize, but I think our EN partners and clusters know very well how to handle this probably more difficult questions. I welcome very much also all success stories, because I think this is a strong tool to help EU companies to understand that it's not just for the big companies, it's not just for the companies in Poland, but there is also something in for them. And of course, on the EU side, I'm committed to provide you with all the political developments, with all the programs that will be set up. You heard that there are quite a few in the pipe that could be of interest to you and your companies. And for that, you can count on us. We will keep you informed on a regular basis. So thank you very much again to you, Agnieszka, to Elena, all her team back in Ukraine, and to all the great speakers. I think this was an excellent webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks to all participants. And I think the last closing remark to Olena and Olga, and I think we can be done, or we are done with the webinar.
I wanted to thank everyone, and I wanted to mention that we hope that it is the first step, this webinar, and we will move to the next step. As I said, it is a survey, and we will send it to all of you. And please, now you listen a lot of information about Ukraine. Maybe you something discover for you, and maybe you have now some ideas to operate. Some need time and to rethinking. That's why please be open and share with us your ideas, your opportunities, information, and maybe after feedback and analyze your ideas and your answering of our feedback survey, we will find some new opportunities for cooperation. Thank you.
And I also want to mention that I think that it's a great pleasure for us that so a lot of people participated in this event. And I also want to say that it's not the last one. I hope that we can also, maybe in some months, we also can spread some information regarding successful stories and regarding our companies. They are working and regarding our expertise. Thank you.
And I wanted to thank everyone who helped us to organize this event. Agnieszka for moderation, nice for the moderation of the event, Martin for very active position during this event, and all speakers, thank you a lot, because we have so long event, and all participants that you are still with us. Even that we received more than 150 registration form, it means that this topic, cooperation with Ukraine, is actual, and people looking for opportunity to receive more information and to cooperate. That's why I think it is the main idea and main result. After this event, we maybe analyze more carefully from which countries we received this registration participants, because it's really quite international event, because here were present from representatives from different countries of Europe. That's why it's mean. And in the morning event, we have more participants than can to join, and that's why we part participants to ask to see live broadcast on our Solidarity Lanes platform. That's why who wanted to see, they have opportunity to see as a broadcast too. That's why it's main result that cooperation with Ukraine is actual and has interest from European organization. It is, I think, it's a very good result, and we will try to find opportunity to move to the next step. Thank you. Yes.
Done. Thank you. So we can leave the webinar. It's on the right bottom side. Thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.